We've today seen the return of the Ice Dragon Invasion event, and this first appeared last month, and it seems to be settling in as a monthly event at this point. Last month I was asked by quite a few people to make a video on this, and I tried to put it off just for a little bit to track the data on arrows and how much damage they do per hit specifically, just so I could come out with a much more informed video, and this is going to be that. So at its core, it's a pretty simple event. You get arrows, you fire them at this dragon. They will by default do 100 damage, and they can crit from a varying number from, I believe, 200 to 600 damage, and that will cause some variation in the average arrow damage, and that is relevant because for every 100 damage you do, you will get one Ice Dragon's Proof, and Ice Dragon's Proof allows you to buy things in this raffle shop, and probably most relevant to most players are these Jon Snow Honor Medals. So this is part of the Green Sight system, which was recently added, and Jon Snow's Glory Commander can offer up to 50k passive army size when he is maxed out. At the base level, for just 10 of these Honor Medals, he will give 10k passive army size, which is still very, very significant, and I imagine will be a main appeal of this event to players. There are two ways of getting these arrows. One is for free. You can get 4 a day from these daily quests, and it's a 5-day long event, so 4 times 5 is 20, and then you can also get 10 from these speed up quests and 10 from these motivation quests, so it's a total of 40 arrows through free-to-play means across the entire event. Past that, you will have to spend black diamonds to obtain any more, and I will go over the spreadsheet in just a second, the exact efficiency of all these, which packs are best, how far you can get with the free-to-play arrows alone, and everything else. Something interesting about this event is that there is a leaderboard for personal rankings, and the higher up you rank in these, you will obtain additional Jon Snow Honor Medals. Only the top 100 who have 50,000 or more points or damage will be eligible to rank on this, and you will have to spend significant amounts of money to rank on this list. But even if that bit isn't relevant to you, you can freely stalk the full list and see exactly how much other people are spending in the event to satiate your own curiosity. So I have here in a spreadsheet all my tracking on it. So there is a sample size of about 1,000 arrows, which totaled out at about 250,000 damage, which is about 2,500 proofs. So the exact averages are 253.74 damage per arrow on average, and through that, of course, 2.54 proofs. So we can then obviously use this data to figure out a lot more within the event. So in terms of the packs and which is best to buy, you can see that the second tier pack, the 200 BD ones, are actually the worst of the 3 in terms of efficiency. So the best is the first tier, the 50 BD packs, which have a buy limit of 5. But after that point, it will actually be most efficient for you to buy the 1000 BD packs. That is because they give you these 100 extra proofs when you actually buy them, aside from the arrows themselves, as you can see here. So they're all giving currently a varying amount of Reforge ore, and these first 2 tiers have experience books, but then this final tier has 100 proofs, which is the equivalent of somewhere like 40 arrows as a proof value. Something to note is that last event, you had diamonds here, and they were quite frankly giving just an absurd amount of diamonds with the values that were listed there, so they have changed that, which is giving a bit of an advantage to people that bought into these last event, because now they're just significantly worse. I think a lot of people in that first time round bought these final packs just for the diamonds alone to chuck into healing and whatnot. that will now obviously no longer be possible. And that could be of relevance to what I have here about ranking in the top 100 and how much that will require. Because potentially people will spend less in this top 100 because those packs are worse now. And the main thing you're going to be getting out of those packs is the actual Jon Snow honor medals. But before that, I have to the left here what you can get for purely freeze play means per event. So you can get, as I said previously, a total of 40 arrows for free, which results in about 10k damage. There is then milestone rewards, which you can get all the way through according to how much damage you deal to the dragon, and that will give additional arrows. So accounting for those milestone bonuses, that will give an additional 16, which will take you up to 14.2k damage. And if you get lucky with crits, you can go to 15k, which will give you another milestone reward and let you go a bit further than that also. But that will average out, if you all in and don't save any arrows, 142 proofs per event for free. So that will be, I believe it is, 4 Jon Snow honor medals per event. You could potentially save arrows past the 10k point because you're really going to want to play around these milestones. So if you get these 3 milestones, there is effectively no point going past that if it's returning every month to go to like 14k, because you might as well just sit at 10k, and then the next event you'll be able to go to 15k or potentially 20k and get more arrows from these milestone bonuses. So I'd try and be smart and just stop at 10k or 15k and then just not go above it with any excess and just save it. That will be by far and away the most efficient way you can do that. And then the only other thing to really talk about is how much is required to rank in the top 100. So when you do all the maths, or accounting for milestone rewards and whatnot, you would need an additional 173,000 damage to go from that point with the max milestone rewards that you'd get throughout this whole process through Black Diamonds to have ranked in the top 100 in that first event. As I said, I'm not sure these top 100 spots are going to be as high in future. You would expect them to tail off as the event goes on, as the novelty wears off for people, as they realize the packs to get the arrows are worse now, as the top whales start needing the actual Jon Snow honor medals less. I know a lot of people bought into it for things like the ancient dust for red badges, and that's not as necessary anymore either. So there should be a slight tailing off of this. But for this first event, you would have had to have bought an additional 700 arrows from Black Diamonds, which means to have ranked in the top 100, you would have had to have spent a minimum of 7,000 Black Diamonds on this event. Maybe ever so slightly less, like the mid 6,000s if you got lucky with crits, but it's still in and around that ballpark. And obviously, because of this, if you're free to play, if you're a mid spender, you just have to ignore this. The only thing this will be really relevant to you for is stalking who is spending the most on the game. There's not really any relevance to you with this list other than that. And all in all, because of that, it is a very pay-to-win event. It's a very spender-specific event, but there are things you can do for free. And with these averages, it would take you, 2 free events to get the Jon Snow Glory Commander to base, which will be 10k passive army size, which is quite relevant. That is pretty significant. And I would imagine that should be the main target and priority for most people watching this video.